Yajong, and hello to each and every one of you. In today's video, I wanted to show you how to make salt and pepper tofu. So this is another salt and pepper dish that I thought all of you would be interested in seeing because this one is vegetarian, and for any tofu lovers, this one's also super delicious. And if you love any type of salt and pepper dishes, add it to your list. So it's quite easy to make. Let's just get to it and show you how to do it. Let's go. So the first thing we want to do is to make the brine for the tofu. Now, brining the tofu just gives it more flavor, especially inside of the tofu. So in a bowl, I'm going to add in some water. I'm going to add in a little bit of salt. I have some garlic powder, some sugar, soy sauce, and that's pretty much it. So give this a really good stir. So I'm going to cut the tofu into cubes before I add it into the brine. Here I have about a 14-ounce block of extra firm tofu. Now you can use firm tofu as well, but firm to extra firm tofu is highly recommended so that it can stay its shape when you fry it. You can also use a 16-ounce block tofu as well. But I'm going to cut this into cubes. You can cut it however big or small you prefer. Once they're all cut, I'm going to add it into the brine and make sure it's submerged all the way through and allow this to sit for about 4 hours. But I highly recommend it to let it sit for 6 hours or overnight. So you can do this a day before and then fry it up the next day. While the tofu is sitting in the brine, let's prep our other stuff. So for the salt and pepper seasoning, in a bowl, I'm going to add in some sea salt. I have some freshly cracked black pepper, a little bit of garlic powder, and some mushroom seasoning. The mushroom seasoning is optional, but it does give the tofu extra flavor. So if you do have it, I highly recommend adding it. And that's pretty much it. Give this a really good mix and we're going to set this aside. Now for this dish, you can also add a little bit of Szechuan peppercorns in there, ground up. It just gives it a little bit more kick to it and a little bit of numbing sensation. So if you want to, you can add about a 1/4 teaspoon in there. But my family doesn't really like it for this dish, so I'm not going to add it. So for the vegetables, I have my usual salt and pepper vegetables. So here I have some sliced green onions. I'm going to use some fresh garlic as well, and some sliced up onions and some jalapenos. So I'm going to drain off the tofu and let this drain for about 15 minutes before we coat it in cornstarch. Once it's completely drained, we're going to place this into a bowl and then we're going to add in cornstarch. Give this a really good mix and allow this to sit for just 5 minutes before we start frying it. And if you do let this sit for 5 minutes, the moisture from the tofu does absorb the starch, which creates a really nice coating for it when you fry it. So we are ready to fry. So in a good nonstick pan, I have some oil heating up. I'm just using regular vegetable oil and I'm going to heat this up to about 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's add in all of the tofu and allow this to cook for about 5 to 8 minutes or up to 10 minutes until it is golden brown to your liking. As it's frying, the tofu will have a tendency to stick to each other, so just use your spider and kind of gently break them apart. So the tofu looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and drain this. And while this is draining, let's go ahead and cook our vegetables. So in a really good nonstick pan, I have about 2 tablespoons of the oil that we cooked the tofu in. And turn the heat up to high. Let's add in all of the vegetables except for the green onions. Spread this apart and allow this to sit for about 1 to 2 minutes just to allow the heat to give the vegetable some char. And then stir it every once in a while for about 3 to 4 minutes or until it's cooked to your liking. So I'm going to stop here. This looks pretty good to me. I'm going to turn off the heat and then we're going to go straight in with our tofu. Let's add in all of the seasoning and then give this a really good mix until everything is incorporated. I'm going to plate this, and then the last thing we're going to add on top is the sliced green onions. And that is it for today's video. So enjoy this dish while it's still hot, fresh, and crispy. I hope you can give this recipe a try. Until then, I will see you in my next video.